Compensatory. Hi, everybody. So yeah, about 15 years ago, I was living what I would call a divided life. Had a job, kind of minimum wage job, and I was working as an assistant teacher in a school in Humboldt County, California. I was a hippie, long hair, beard, and every chance I get, I would be studying these deep spiritual texts and exploring philosophy and the deepest questions of life. And I was really fascinated by suffering, my own suffering and the suffering of the collective, and why are we suffering, and there's a way to transcend suffering. So I'd be exploring this and delving into it, and this is what my passion was. This is what I was most excited by, what I was most inspired by. And then I had this job that was this other thing in the public school system, and more it felt like I knew it wasn't what I was called to do. It wasn't where my heart was, but it was a safe job that had a check, daily check, But there was a sense of like I needed to live in alignment. I needed to live in a way that was undivided. I needed to live in a way where my meaning, my sense of meaning, my sense of purpose, my sense of inspiration, and how I generate my money was all unified as one. But I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. So I just kept going around the same path. And I figured once I know how, then I'll make the shift. When somehow I'll know how and I'll make the shift. But the pressure just built and built and built until one night, which was a turning point, kind of one of those dark nights of the soul, it was raining. It was raining fairly hard. And I just went out and I started walking. And I was walking and walking. And I walked pretty much through the whole night, just walking and walking. I remember my mind just saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't know what is to come, but I know I can't do this anymore, And I came away from that evening soaking wet, and the idea that I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't do this anymore, right? So the next day, I go into my job, and I say, I'm going to leave, give you 3 weeks notice, I'm going to leave my job. And they said, what are you going to do? And I didn't know what to call what I was called to do, but I was doing some research online at the time, and I said, I'm going to be a life coach. I said, well, wow, that's really interesting. All right. So then I talked to the place where I was staying. I also told them that I was leaving in 3 weeks. I'm going to be a life coach. All right. And that's really where this exciting journey began, this adventure began of my life that has all kinds of twists and turns and adventures that, we'll save for the next 5-minute talk, right? But it was this shift of waiting to think I needed to know how, to realizing, which has been one of the main lessons, relations of my life, that what I want to impart here is that the how always comes second. The how always comes second. You make the commitment first, and the how comes second. And that's why I was holding back, because I was waiting for the how. But what I learned to do was not know how, and just go for it. So basically, I was at that point homeless, had a few $100s, and it was difficult, but it was also one of the most exciting times of my life because I was living on purpose, I was living aligned, and eventually over time, money started to come that was aligned with what I felt my gift was and what I was called to share in the world, and what was meaningful to me and why I felt I was here on the planet. So the takeaway for me is, because the journey is never ending, right? There's always new chapters, there's always new phases for all of us. So to feel into, what are we called to go next? Where are we called to go next? Because maybe we're in a space that feels comfortable, it feels safe. Oh, I kind of have this down, I kind of have this groove going now. It's easy, there's a routine, but maybe we're called to something else, and there's a sense of, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to make that happen. And it's okay not to know. It's okay not to know. In fact, whenever we get a grand plan or a grand vision, initially, we never know. We never know. So it's embracing the unknown, and then when we commit to whatever that vision is, we find out how each step of the way, moment by moment, day by day. And that's how we come to make life an adventure and really appreciate and value the journey of just following that impulse, that inspiration, that divine drive, if you will. And by being present and listening, we find out how each step of the way.
Yeah.